Creating the creatures for Call of the Unseen was one of the big things we did to make this world and to make it come alive with this imaginative creatures that we wanted to populate our world with. And so we gather a good team of makers of costumes, and we started with often just a simple sketch or a concept art that was made, only a single picture for a costume, and that was developed into these different costumes. The stone troll is one of the main creatures, of course, in the film, and we wanted it to be a big troll. These big rocks that are stuck together and somehow they can move. So we needed to find a tall actor. So we found a guy that was 207, and that was the base, of course, for the costume. And onto that we could create these foam pieces, styrofoam pieces, around his body, and test those, see can he move in this good enough, because he needs to be able to walk around in nature on rocks, and that's important because we don't want him falling over. And that actually only happened once. So these blocks of styrofoams were carved out and shaped into rock parts for arms, legs, for the body, for the head, like this big armor of styrofoam, looks like rocks. And we needed to make several checks. Can he move in this? Will it work? And we were out walking outside here, and the neighbors were looking and wondering what we were doing, but they got used to it after a while. When we got the shape together, we could see, yes, he can walk in this works, this looks good. Of course, it was painted and treated to look like rocks, and we had brought back stone samples and photograph from the filming location for the scenes with the stone troll, so we could match the colors on the costume with the actual rocks. So when we see it in the film, it should look like it's the same granite rocks. And finally, we tested the completed costume together with the leading actor, because they will have the most scenes together, so they could interact with each other, and we can see this is working, and they can do what they need to do to perform and make this come alive. And it was very interesting to see, because when we were shooting the scenes, the costume is almost silent. You can hear a muffled voice speaking from inside, from the suit performer, and you're not sure if this is going to work, but when we added the dialogue and the sound effects, that sounds like rocks scratching against each other, and then the character really came alive, and it was working, and that was a relief, and we're very happy with how that turned out.
You hurt, little one.
Making the black beaks was a different process. Those black birds that looks like a mix of a raven and a penguin.
And the method I use, it's called the pattern method, where you sculpt the original character you want to do, and then you actually basically cover it in masking tape, and you number it, and you pattern, and you have to photograph everything, and then you have to cut that out into foam, and you glue it back together to get the general shape of the thing. And after that, it was like the fur work, and it was a lot of gluing, and you have to work backwards because the fur otherwise gets in your way. There's a mechanism inside with hinges, so when you open your mouth, the beak would open, and you have to do you have to do some trial and error, because you don't want it, you have to make it sure that it opens wide so it's very visible, because you don't want to make a big mouth movement because it gets exhausting.
And for the scenes in the mines, we needed to have special eyes for the birds that light up when you shine a flashlight at them. We didn't want to have to do that in a post-process, and it would be more difficult to make it look natural. We wanted it to be something that worked when we were shooting it. So we made special eyes for that scenes with reflective material and green tinted cover for the eyes. So when Maya is pointing her flashlight towards them, you can see these green eyes shining in the dark.
For like close-up shots, it was easy. We also made a hand puppet that would like for the close-up where you could control it a little bit better, so you would be able to like bite in things and to pick up stuff with the beak and move around and like look around a little more, because it's easier to see how you're acting when you're not in the costume.
The goblin costume started with a simple sketch, and then that was developed into this trash-looking, stealing character.
It was very fun to do something that is completely like original. So that was really fun. So I looked around for secondhand clothing, also cannibalized some old costumes, and just looked at like in the trash room to find different things. And then also the backpack with all the trash is a piece of wood behind the house. I found like an old hockey stick and a broom handle that I put some vinegar and lemon on so it rusted. And then all the weathering is most of it is like kitty litter. Mixed with glue and concrete powder, then you can get this like caked mud look. My mom was the first one to try it when we did so it's really fun to see like the final concept piece.
As she was in her kitchen when she tried it, and she was so happy.
Yeah.
And then when we showed the trailer and the finished piece, she's the most happy out of everyone here to have been a small part of this movie.
The only digitally created creature in the film is the giant octopus creature, and that was of course not practical to make any other way, so that was modeled and rendered and added to the scenes which is in, to look like not just a normal octopus, because that's not what it is, but to make it look very old and like something that out of this world that we barely see. We see glimpses of it, but we never really see it very clearly, but we can see that it's something big and powerful. Creating the costume for the unseen, this flickering shadow creature that we don't really know what it is, and it's looking kind of otherworldly. We needed to it was made.